It is said that more than 90% of the diamonds sold in America are handled by the 47th Street jewelry business. On 47th Street, since much of the business is still conducted on the honor system, a man's reputation is about as valuable a commodity as the stones themselves. Up until the mid-1990s, De Beers controlled almost the entire global diamond market. As new mines opened up, however, more people were able to get into the business, and De Beers' market share has now dropped by most estimates to less than 65%. Leviev managed to outmaneuver De Beers and negotiate a deal with Angola for exclusive access to its diamond production. A multi-billionaire and an enthusiastic supporter of Jewish causes, Mr. Leviev, a native of Tashkent who now lives in Israel, is a friend of Vladimir Putin's. On June 6, 2003, federal prosecutors in New York announced the arrest of 11 jewelry dealers and others who were accused of participating in an international money laundering scheme. James B. Comey, the United States Attorney in Manhattan, said the use of the jewelers highlighted the vicious cycle of drugs to money to gold back to money that was essential for drug lords to be able to survive. Mr. Comey said, part of the genius of the scheme was that it avoided the banking system, where institutions have been clamping down on money laundering schemes. The big problem for drug lords is not so much getting the drugs into the United States. In some ways, a bigger challenge for them is how to get the money back, so they can get rich off of it. Mr. Comey said the jewelers may not be drug lords, but they're every bit as important to the success of those drug endeavors as the dealers themselves. Some jewelers on the busy insular block of 47th Street expressed surprise yesterday at the arrest, while others shrugged their shoulders and complained that a few bad people were harming the reputation of the diamond trade. A jeweler who said he had worked on the block for 28 years and who refused to give his name expressed surprise at the arrest. He said, "They are very respectful people in the diamond industry." A jeweler standing nearby interjected, "The whole block is surprised." The two men described one of the defendants, Roman Nektilov, who prosecutors said was an owner of Roman jewelers, as someone who had worked on the block for more than 3 decades, was often relied on for advice, and could be trusted. One of the jewelers added, "On 47th Street, everything is on the trust." In 2003, one of the new tenants of Trump World Tower was Edward Nektilov, Roman Nektilov's son. Mr. Nektilov bought a condo on the 79th floor, directly below Trump's future campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway. A month later, Mr. Nektilov sold his unit for a $500,000 profit. A diamond dealer from Uzbekistan, Edward Nektilov was being investigated by a Treasury Department task force for mob-connected money laundering. On May 20th, 2004, just after 7 p.m., Mr. Nektilov had just left his store, Roman Jewelers, at 74 West 47th Street in the Diamond District. The jeweler's nephew, David Nektilov, 22, was working with him that day. David Nektilov said, "We closed the store, and I asked him, 'Uncle Eddie, should I go to the car?' But he said, 'I'm going to a meeting. You take the subway.' The meeting was with an Israeli friend," he said. Edward Nektilov turned north, presumably walking towards the garage where he kept his car, when he was gunned down on the crowded Avenue of the Americas. In front of a Gap store and Fox News TV studios, a man dressed in black shot Mr. Nektilov 3 times at close range, once in the back of the head and twice in the back. John Doherty, 56, a retired NYPD lieutenant who was working as a security consultant at Fox News across the street, heard the shots and gave chase, police said. When the gunman realized he was being pursued, he brandished a weapon from his waistband and pointed it at Doherty, who was also armed. Fearful of starting a shootout on a crowded Midtown street, the ex-cop backed away, authorities said. The killer escaped into the busy, crowded streets, the police said. A witness, Jimmy Cosi, said, "He spoke nothing. Just shoot. It took just a second. Pop, pop, pop," and he run. In a strange twist, among those racing to the crime scene with police were television stars Candice Bergen and Lorraine Bracco, who were being hosted by the police on a ride-along program. Bergen, who starred on Murphy Brown, and Bracco of The Sopranos, didn't see the shooting, but arrived there shortly afterward. The New York Post said, Tony Soprano's shrink came tantalizingly close to his world yesterday, and Murphy Brown was there to catch all the action. After she saw the dead man sprawled on the 6th Avenue sidewalk, an excited Lorraine Bracco, who is better known as Dr. Jennifer Melfi in The Sopranos, told the Post, "I definitely took up the wrong profession." Ms. Bracco said, "I'm not in my right job. I know it's not PC, politically correct, but shit happens like this in New York. This should be my real profession. I love this." Ms. Bergen, who once played hard-nosed television reporter Murphy Brown, was with Deputy Inspector Peter Tuffy, the commanding officer of Midtown South, when she was whisked to the scene of the crime. Suddenly, we're with Inspector Tuffy going 60 miles an hour, said Bergen, who, unlike Bracco, seemed taken aback by the gruesome scene. We actually saw brains, she said from behind police lines. Ms. Bergen said it was certainly the first time I've seen brain matter. Both temporary commanders got to chat with the real deal when Police Commander Ray Kelly showed up to survey the scene. Edward Nektilov was taken to St. Vincent's Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Mr. Nektilov and his father were to stand trial in July in a Diamond District gold for drugs smuggling case that has brought 8 convictions since the arrest last June. Nektilov, 46, was gunned down 2 months before he was to go on trial with his father, Roman, on federal charges that they helped launder drug money at their business, Roman Jewelry. Police investigators don't believe the unsolved killing had anything to do with the money laundering case, but they also consider it a professional hit and suspect the Russian mob was involved. The trial of the father began earlier this month and had been expected to conclude next week, but the defendant was hospitalized last week with heart problems, leaving the outcome in doubt. The 75-year-old Roman Nektilov, a diminutive Russian immigrant with a graying mustache, played an important role in the successful cycle of narcotics trafficking, prosecutor Brett Williams told jurors at the trial's outset. Edward Nektilov's lawyer has said that his client was looking forward to clearing his name and had no intention of pleading guilty or cooperating with the government. The federal case and inferences of mob connections have upset supporters of the Nektilovs, described as respected leaders in the tight-knit Bukharin Jewish community in the Queens borough. Edward's brother Leon Nektilov said, "He was a religious man. He was a man who helped people. It's like they cut off my wings, cut my legs, and took my brain away." On December 18, 2015, in response to Joe Scarborough's allegations that the Russian president kills journalists that don't agree with him, Mr. Trump said, "I think our country does plenty of killing also." December 20th, 2015, in an interview with ABC's This Week, Trump again defended against allegations Mr. Putin had ordered the killings of journalists and dissidents. Mr. Trump said, "In all fairness to Putin, you're saying he killed people. I haven't seen that. I don't know that he has. Have you been able to prove that? Do you know the names of the reporters that he's killed?" According to the Committee to Protect Journalists, 42 journalists were killed in Russia from 2000 to 2019. Of those 42 people, the data indicates 26 of them were murdered. Soon after he twice refused to condemn Putin's extrajudicial killings, Donald Trump ad-libbed to students at Dordt College in Sioux Center, Iowa, that his supporters were so loyal he could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? Mr. Trump's imagined scenario bore a striking resemblance to the Sixth Avenue killing of Edward Nektilov on May 20th, 2004. On May 21, 2004, Mr. Trump was presented with an honorary doctorate degree from Wagner College on Staten Island, New York.